Hey everybody, thanks for watching another episode of Teaching Tuesday. I want to talk about a verse I just recently read and the significance of it, but before I get there, I want to talk about why maybe it was important to me and why it caught my eye. A cool experiment to do, if you've never done it, is to think about God and what's the first word or first attribute or characteristic trait that pops into your mind. So when you say here, God is... Now, a lot of people might say love because that's a Bible verse. We hear that a lot. God is love. But what kind of emotions stir up when you hear the word God or when you think about God? For me, it was kind of his majesty, his authority, his kingship, his supreme ruler aspect of him. I knew God is love, and I know that he's forgiving and he's just and all these things. But that was the one that kind of embodied God to me. And I think we almost need to have like one attribute of God, because when you start to think about God is this and 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 he's all those things at the same time and equally, and it's like, oh, like it's a lot to comprehend. So for me, I kind of digest it one at a time. And so that was him. I think also the glory aspect, like God did everything for his glory. And I won't get into that, but a lot of creation and salvation and our lives, it's for his glory. And I think what happened was that that was my mind frame. And so I came at scripture with that attitude, like, oh, this is for God's glory. I mean, to his glory. And what would happen is that when I was reading scripture, I would pick up on a verse that had to support that. Like, oh, this is for God's glory. Like, to him be glory forever and ever. And I go, okay, so there it is. And I would use that as my support and to kind of fuel the fire of how I viewed God. And there's obviously way more other things about God in there. But one, I was drawn to those passages that had to do with his glory and his kingship. And then also they were easier for me to remember because I connected with them. And what that's actually called, and this, they teach you not to do this. Hopefully your pastor or some Bible educators told you this, but they tell you not to do it. It's called looking at the Bible subjectively, where you kind of go in with your own personal agenda and you pull scripture out, and it's really not healthy to do that. It can kind of taint scripture, and we have a tendency to twist it and pervert it into something it's not. And I don't know if I was going that far into it, but I was definitely using selective scripture to say, yeah, God's love, but he's also this. And like, yeah, he's forgiving, but look at this. He's wrathful, and he's came with a sword, and so on and so on. And it really it did, I guess in my own eyes, it twisted and perverted the faith that I had on, or at least the perspective I had on Christianity. And I don't even want to say that, not even necessarily on Christianity, just my relationship with God. It really kind of put me into this, I'm nothing, I'm worthless, I'm just a sinful being, and I'm not worthy to be in God's presence. And I think as a sinner without salvation, that is true. But even after salvation, I still felt like that was who I was. I just was now going to heaven in that aspect. And so what you're supposed to do is view scripture objectively, where you kind of come in with a clear mind, no prejudices, no preconceived notions. And that's basically impossible, because you always bring something to the table. You bring your past experiences, you bring your opinions, you bring your outside influences. But the goal, as somebody who studies scripture, is to kind of remove as much of that as possible. All that to say, I came across a verse just the other day, and I think God has been working on me to moving some of that off the table. And I came across a verse, and it was in Hebrews 4, and it talks about, it says, I got it right here, it says, for we do not have a high priest who cannot sympathize with our weaknesses, but we have one who has been tempted in all things and yet is without sin. And here's the thing that I just kind of felt like God was wrapping his arms around me again, which is a feeling I don't experience very often and had not for a very long time. Scripture says, therefore, let us draw near with confidence to the throne of grace. And that phrasing right there, that throne of grace, like God's king, he is majestic over all. He has supreme authority over all. And yet we call it the throne of grace. So to approach the throne of grace, to deserve or to get something that you don't deserve, approach that with confidence so that we may receive mercy and find grace in our time of need. I mean, that really kind of floored me. Like my whole life, at least my adult Christian life, I've viewed God as this dictator, as this really just ruling with an iron rod type deal. And when I read that throne of grace phrasing, I just thought, wow, like God does not want me to come to him and be bothered by it. It's not like he's begrudgingly asking me to come to him. Like, oh my gosh, here comes Jeremy again. Oh, yes, I'm God, come to me. I don't think that's it. No, the throne of grace, like Jesus knows what I'm experiencing, and he desires me to come to the Father through him to receive grace. And there's an abundance amount of grace and mercy just waiting for me. And that is a hard thing for me to do, to pick up and go there, because I feel like I'm going to be made felt bad about my choices, be made felt bad about why I'm in the predicament that I'm in or why I need help. And yes, I mess up a lot, and God knows that, and yet he still offers that grace to me. So the thought that I was having was, if I could go before the throne of God, blameless and with no judging, and ask him for something with confidence, what would it be? And I start with one thing, and then two things, and about 5 things, and about 10 things. And sometimes you're just not ready to do it, whether it's just tons of reasons why. But my encouragement to you and to myself is take that one thing that you need grace with, that you need mercy with, and go to the God who can solve that. He wants you to come to him with confidence to the throne of grace. If you want to share your experience or how you take your take on this video, if it helps you, if it doesn't, feel free. Try to be encouraging if you can. And I'd love to continue the discussion with you in the comments below. You just got to scroll all the way down and watch them, or all the way down and then comment in there. And thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. See ya.